Hello everyone and welcome back to the Artificial DM. First off, spoiler warning for Curse of Strahd. If you are currently a player in Curse of Strahd, or you think you might play Curse of Strahd pretty soon and you don't want to ruin the experience, then I would recommend you don't watch this video. There are other stories I've read, or other stories that other people have read, go ahead and go listen to those. However, if you've already played Curse of Strahd, or you really don't care being as Curse of Strahd has multiple different endings, then this is the RPG glory story for you. It's a tale about how a DM was able to think quick on his feet and react to something his player did. Spoilers are out of the way, so let's go ahead and get into the RPG glory story. A well-timed detect thought spell helped free the soul of Irina Kolyena by Burning Man. So for context, I've been a DM for about 3 years when I ran my first short-lived custom campaign. That campaign later morphed into the much longer, more robust game I'm running now, but I digress. I joined a D&D group at work via a mutual acquaintance of myself and the then DM. He was running Tomb of Annihilation. After we finished, I stated that I would love to take over so that he could have a chance to play. I picked Curse of Strahd since I love the module and think Strahd is one of the best villains in a published 5e product. Plus, I had played through the module myself as well and was very familiar with much of the world and setting. Dramatis Personae. Coyotel Marshbreath, Human War Cleric. Coyotel is a cop, but seems to have become pretty disillusioned with the system as a whole and questions whether killing sentient monsters, even undead ones, is really necessary. As a result, he's befriended Doru, a vampire spawn, and is feeding him tinctures of his own blood mixed with the blood of defeated enemies. Coyotel happens to be played by the original DM for the group. Kazita, Tabaxi Hunter Ranger. Kazita is a damage-dealing machine in ranged combat, and Strahd recognized how dangerous she could be. He used his mind control ability on her in an early encounter and turned her against the party. Since then, she's been stealing things on the sly. She was told by the spirit of Kavan, the barbarian hunter, where his spear was buried, and she now has that weapon in her possession. Reyna, Fire Genasi Arcane Trickster Rogue. The newest player to the group and the least experienced when it comes to D&D. However, she's taken a huge liking to the hobby, and is the player that is most eagerly awaiting my invite message week to week. She was originally an assassin, but I pitched her Arcane Trickster. She decided to try it with the assurance that she could switch back if it didn't suit her. So far, she seems to be enjoying it. One of her major highlights was breaking a Galthia staff next to a Galthia tree and destroying 15 blights within a matter of seconds. Currently at the top of the imaginary kill board. Valheim, Swift Strider Shifter College of Swords Bard. The star of this particular story, as her decision led to one of the coolest moments of the campaign. She's used her beast senses to discern the presence of lycanthropes within the area, particularly a werewolf. She's now armed with a magic battle axe that deals extra damage to plants. Yari Mayenpaw, sorry if I'm botching that Finnish name. Drow College of Whispers Bard, a bard from the Underdark that is trying to write a heavy metal album. Something that will change the face of music back in Menzoberranzan, which is mainly comprised of club beats, new wave, electronica, and dubstep. He viciously mocked a druid using the line, "Hey druid, I drive the diesel!" An insult so stinging that it blew up the poor druid's head with psychic damage. He also once tried to ask out a ghost. Zambanibus, Loxodon Divine Soul Sorcerer, a marvelous dancer and a wonderful foil to Coyotel. His combat style can best be described as unorthodox. He enjoys getting to higher ground and body slamming his opponents. He's performed his dances in a series of taverns across Barovia, and even performed a funeral dance for the late burgomaster of the village of Barovia. DM. That would be me, the teller of this tale. Our story begins shortly after the party has cleared Yesterhill of the Druid menace. They managed to stop the ritual to raise Winter Splinter, a tree blight that they were going to use to destroy the Wizard of Wine's winery. After clearing the hill and recovering a gemstone stolen from the winery, they returned it to the owner, Davian Martikov. For having recovered the gem and defending the winery from an earlier assault, Davian explains that he is part of a group known as the Keepers of the Feather, a brotherhood of were-ravens that have been looking for a chance to put an end to Strahd's rule. He offers them the ability to procure information in any location within Barovia from his spy network as a reward for their help. The party takes stock of how much wine is present in the winery. They decide to deliver a half-dozen barrels to the town of Kresk, a place where Ismark and Irina are headed, the party having escorted them this far already. The other half-dozen will be delivered to the Blue Water Inn in Velikai, which is ideal, since they want to be around when the vampires attack St. Andral's church. They have already recovered the bones of the saint that protect the church, but they're hoping that Strahd might show up so they can attempt to turn the tables. They leave the winery first thing the next morning and arrive in Kresk without an incident. The guards, though initially suspicious, are happy to finally receive a shipment of wine. The guard tells the party about the highlights of the map, including the Abbey of St. Markovia on the top of a hill, and a pool of fresh water nearby which is said to be blessed. The party splits up. Koyotal, Irina, Riena, and Ismark head to the Abbey to meet the abbot and see what he's all about. This left Yari, Kazita, Zambanibus, and Valheim to explore the town and, as Koyotal put it, find a con to work. Upon ascending the hill, Koyotal and Riena quickly discover that the guards seem to have been the subjects of some sort of twisted experiment. Koyotal, his curiosity piqued, decides that he's going to continue ahead, as the guards are seemingly friendly towards him and offer to escort him to the abbot. Rihanna isn't sure about this, and tells Ismark and Irina to return to the rest of the group to explain what is going on. She then follows close behind Koyotal, but out of sight of the guards that are escorting him. Meanwhile, the rest of the party examines the pool. Yari uses Detect Magic to determine that the pool has a faint aura of abjuration magic. After a brief explanation of what abjuration magic is, he tells the party that the water is definitely magical. Valheim is the first to drink from it, and finds that the pool is refreshing and sweet. Yari also attempts to mix some blight parts with the water to see if he can microdose himself. Previously, his attempts at mixing their blight twigs and seeds with wine had led to a bad drug trip, but he remained determined to find the right concentration. Unfortunately, the water neutralized the corruption that was present in the plant parts. Eventually, Ismark and Irina arrive, and Ismark explains that something very strange is going on at the Abbey on the hill. However, before the party can act, Irina walks to the edge of the pool. A voice is heard calling to her from the water, and a hand reaches out from the surface. Now, for those of you that are familiar with the module, this is an interesting moment of choice in the story, as the reflection is Sergei, Strahd's brother, and the man that was betrothed to Tatiana. The party's initial reaction was to reach for Tatiana and pull her away, but when she says she remembers who she is, this prompted Valheim to act. I cast Detect Thoughts. Who are you targeting? I'm not sure. Should I target Irina or the reflection of Sergei? Cast it on Irina. I allow my players to offer advice when someone asks, even if they aren't present in the scene. Valheim, you aren't sure if Sergei is a creature or not given what you've seen. You can still attempt to cast it on him though. I'll cast it on Irina. It's at this point that I realized how brilliant this move was. Usually, a party has to wait a long time before they can get any real exposition regarding the plot in this module. And so, I improvised. What follows is the description I gave, to the best of my recollection. The magic that powers your Detect Thought spell goes off without a hitch, and seems to mix with the immense magic that is currently coursing through Irina's mind. It's so powerful that it pulls you into the memory, Valheim, along with Kazita, Ismark, Yari, and Zambaminus. You appear in a memory looking at the same man you saw in the pool, the one Irina called Sergei. He stands dressed in his finery and has a beautiful crystalline sword with a platinum hilt at his side. Closer inspection of his clothing seems to suggest that he is dressed for a wedding. From behind, another figure approaches. This one is older, with his hair slicked back. From your previous encounters with him, you instantly recognize him as Strahd. Without warning, Strahd grabs Sergei and sinks his teeth into his neck. Even if you desire to do anything, you all intrinsically know that this is a memory and what you are seeing is the past. Strahd drains Sergei dry and his lifeless body falls to the ground. A voice from the sky proclaims, "The pact is sealed! It is done!" As dark clouds quickly rush in, blotting out the sun. In the distance, you watch in horror as the thick bank of mist that you have dealt with previously envelops all of Barovia. "To arms! To arms!" shouts the guard captain from the castle ramparts. The memory surges forward, and you watch as the archers are cut down in a matter of seconds as STRAHD's monstrous visage bares his fangs. The memory surges forward again, and you watch a woman in a purple dress running from STRAHD as he screams out her name. Tatiana! She is cornered at the edge of the chasm that runs along Castle Ravenloft. She won't be taken. Desperate and seeing no other recourse, she takes one last look behind her, and the face you see is none other than Irina Kolyana. In that instant, you realize that Irina and Tatiana are indeed one and the same person. She jumps. You're all falling alongside her. As you fall, the mist of Barovia envelop all of you, and you snap back to the present. You find yourself standing along the banks of the pool as you were before. The party decided to let Sergei take Irina. As Irina steps through the portal, she transforms into Tatiana, the woman that they saw in the thoughts that were magnified via Detect Thoughts. Her soul at peace, the portal begins to close. However, a voice from the sky booms and dark clouds begin to rush in. The visage of STRAHD himself appears. "She will be mine!" he screams. The sound is so loud, and the visage is so unmistakable, that even Koyotl and Rayana hear and see it from their perch near the abbey. STRAHD strikes the pool with a bolt of lightning. He deals 36 damage. Yari and Zambamenis are knocked down by the blast, but manage to succeed on the save against it. Yari took 18, and Zambamenis took 9 due to a homebrew item that gave him lightning resistance. Kazuta gets hit full force, but remains on her feet, along with Ismark. However, Valheim, who takes all the damage, is knocked unconscious by the blast. Given the brilliant way in which they figured out what was going on, and how they saved Irina Kolyana, or Tatiana, the party gained a level, bringing them to level 6, and ending the session there. We'll pick it back up again next week, and start with them leveling up. It's moments like this that make me so happy to DM. Honestly, I can't wait for the next week. TLDR, one of the bards in the party I run for some friends from work used Detect Thoughts when Sergei showed up in the Blessed Pool within Kresk. In doing so, they learn about what happened to Sergei, STRAHD, and Tatiana, and also saved the soul of Irina Kolyana. What I really like about this story is the DM was presented with a situation he wasn't expecting. It's something the book doesn't prepare you for, yet he ran with it. And he took a great idea and made it even better. He implemented Detect Thoughts, combined with the overwhelming magic of the Blessed Pool, and used it sort of like a pensieve where the players entered the thoughts as if they can observe it as a spectator, and found out a lot of the story about what happened to Barovia, STRAHD, and Sergei. But that's why I like the story. I know RPG glory stories aren't as popular as the horror stories, but it's still nice to read them every once in a while. I want to hear what you guys think though. Were you able to cast a spell or use an ability in a way that manipulated the story for the better? If so, let me know your tales. That's gonna do it for today. And until next time, hope you feel inspired.